Imagine having the awesome nickname of a sniper exterminator, killing 5 enemy snipers on the island of Bougainville. It is one of the most badass nicknames for a Marine that you could ever have. Seeing combat from Guadalcanal to Bougainville to Vella La Vella, he is no stranger to combat. Anthony Tony Stein is one of the most interesting men I have ever had the pleasure of researching, and today we will be doing a dive into one of the legends of the Marine Corps. This is Liam in History. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and turn those notifications on. We would be nothing without your support. Make sure to stay to the end to see the fate of this Marine legend. Thank you, fellow history lovers. Tony Stein was born on September 30th, 1921 in Dayton, Ohio. Tony is the son of immigrant parents who came over from Yugoslavia as they were trying to escape the ever-rising anti-Semitic feelings in Eastern Europe at the time. Tony was very much a daredevil from a young age, not being afraid to do anything except his own schoolwork. Tony would drop out of high school his freshman year and went to work trying to help provide for his family where he could during the Great Depression. He was very good at tool working, and this is what he really excelled at before the war. His Stinger is one of the coolest machine guns I have ever laid my eyes on. You will see later on in the video what I am talking about. He wasn't considered the biggest man, standing at around 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighing around 128 pounds, but he was as fearless gets and had the toughness to take on any task. When the news that America was attacked at Pearl Harbor, Tony's job working at the tool company was considered vital to the upcoming war effort, so he was not drafted right away. This made his mother ecstatic since she didn't want her son going off to war. Of course, like most young men during this time, Tony Stein enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in September of 1942. He loved the motto of the Marines being first, and he felt he would fit right in. After completing basic training, Tony joined the Para-Marines, which was an elite fighting force at the time, being the Marines' shock troops. Tony would quickly be sent off to combat and would fight on Guadalcanal, where he quickly became recognized for his fearlessness in combat. He then would see combat on the island of Vella La Vella, then shortly after that again, he saw even more combat on Bougainville. On Bougainville is where he would earn the badass nickname of Sniper Exterminator. He would be seen killing 5 total snipers who were trying to get an advantageous position on his Marines. He stayed calm, cool, and collected the entire time. Tony Stein was a Marine that you could rely on 1000% of the time. After the time on Bougainville, the Para-Marines disbanded, and Tony earned some much-needed leave back in the United States. During his time back in the United States, now newly promoted Corporal Tony Stein, a part of the 5th Marine Division, put his tool-working abilities to good use. Quote from Team Mighty: "From the wreckage of a dauntless SBD dive bomber, Stein pulled out of one of the aircraft's 4 onboard weapons. It was an AN-M2 Browning 30 caliber machine gun, a variation of the M1919 light machine gun. Because it was designed for use in an aircraft, however, it was much lighter than its man-portable counterpart, and had almost 3 times the fire rate." End quote. This would be one of the defining factors that would help Tony Stein stand out during his time on Iwo Jima, cementing him as a Marine Corps legend. Loading into the Higgins boats, Tony Stein and his men were ready for the inevitable carnage that lay ahead of them, but all they could do was wait and look off into the distance and see Mount Suribachi and the rest of the hell that awaited them. February 19th, 1945 was a hell that was absolutely unimaginable for the Marines on the black sanded beaches of Iwo Jima. Artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire raked the ranks of the Marines as they were trying to gather themselves and push out of the kill zone. The worst part of the beginning stages of the battle is nobody could spot the enemy right away. The Japanese very much concealed their tunnels and bunkers as well as they possibly could. With his Stinger in hand, he would wreak devastation into the enemies, laying down heavy amounts of covering fire so his unit could bound to his position, but his unit would now become pinned down by heavy mortar and machine gun fire. Tony Stein, without thinking, stood upright, completely exposed to the enemy machine guns, but doing so, he was able to find the concealed gun positions that were holding up his unit. Now undaunted, he took off towards the bunkers, clearing one after another, firing as rapidly as he possibly could to take out as many enemies as he could as well. Tony was firing so quick and at such a high rate of speed, he had exhausted all of his ammunition, but not before he had already killed 20 of his enemy and took out multiple bunkers on his own. While on his first assault, he did so with shells falling yards away, knocking him over with the blast, but each time, he got back up unscathed. Needing more ammo, he removed the boots and his helmet and took off back to the rear for more ammo so he can move faster under the enemy fire. Tony Stein would make 8 more trips like this, and each time he would carry or assist a wounded Marine back to the rear to seek medical attention. Stein was not done yet on this day. He would direct half-track fire to help destroy a very stubborn enemy bunker. Stein then held the line with his Stinger while his men withdrew back to a better position. While laying down covering fire, he would have his gun shot out of his hands twice before he withdrew himself. A few days later, Stein would be wounded on February 23rd while in the fight for Mount Suribachi and was taken to a hospital ship. His unit continued their advance around Hill 362A and were taking heavy casualties. Stein heard about this and ditched the hospital and rejoined his men on the front line. Then on March 1st, 1945, while leading a 19-man patrol, it is said that Corporal Tony Stein would be felled by a lone sniper's bullet, killing him instantly. And on February 19th, 1946, his now widowed wife would receive his Medal of Honor. The legacy of Tony Stein does not end there. He earned the right to be a legend in the Marine Corps and was even honored with having a United States Navy frigate commissioned after his name, the USS Stein, which was commissioned in 1972. We must never forget those who died fighting for our freedoms in World War II, especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice on the battlefields, so far away from home.